Aprilian Rhapsody by William Stanley Braithwaite. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Straight in the heart of the April meadows, straight in the dream in the heart of you, deep in the glory of gleams and shadows, flame and gossamer, green and blue. Out of the nowhere, east from yonder, out of the presence felt and seen, filled with the first unremembered wonder, radiant with the memory of last year's green. Straight in the heart of the April meadows, straight in the dream in the heart of you, spring, in the glory of gleams and shadows, flame and gossamer, green and blue. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
April in the Hills by Archibald Lampman. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Today the world is wide and fair, with sunny fields of lucid air, and waters dancing everywhere. The snow is almost gone. The noon is builded high with light, and over heaven's liquid height, in steady fleets serene and white, the happy clouds go on. The channels run, the bare earth steams, and every hollow rings and gleams with jetting falls and dashing streams. The rivers burst and fill. The fields are full of little lakes, and when the romping wind awakes, the water ruffles blue and shakes, and the pines roar on the hill. The crows go by, a noisy throng, about the meadows all day long. The shore lark drops his brittle song, and up the leafless tree the nuthatch runs and nods and clings. The bluebird dips with flashing wings. The robin flutes, the sparrow sings, and the swallows float and flee. I break the spirit's cloudy bands, a wanderer in enchanted lands. I feel the sun upon my hands, and far from care and strife, the broad earth bids me forth. I rise, with lifted brow and upward eyes. I bathe my spirit in blue skies, and taste the springs of life. I feel the tumult of new birth. I waken with the wakening earth. I match the bluebird in her mirth, and wild with wind and sun, a treasurer of immortal days, I roam the glorious world with praise, the hillsides and the woodland ways, till earth and I are one.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
As You Go Through Life by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Brigham Talbot. Don't look for the flaws as you go through life, and even when you find them, it is wise and kind to be somewhat blind and look for the virtue behind them. For the cloudiest night has a hint of light, somewhere in its shadows hiding. It's better by far to hunt for a star than the spots on the sun abiding. The current of life runs ever away to the bosom of God's great ocean. Don't set your force against the river's course and think to alter its motion. Don't waste a curse on the universe. Remember, it lived before you. Don't butt at the storm with your puny form, but bend and let it go o'er you. The world will never adjust itself to suit your whims to the letter. Some things must go wrong your whole life long, and the sooner you know it, the better. It is folly to fight with the infinite and go under at last in the wrestle. The wiser man shapes into God's plan, as water shapes into a vessel. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Blue Flag in the Bog by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Read for LibriVox.org by Ron Altman. God had called us, and we came. Our loved earth to ashes left. Heaven was a neighbor's house, open flung to us bereft. Gay the lights of heaven showed, and 'twas God who walked ahead. Yet I wept along the road, wanting my own house instead. Wept unseen, unheeded, cried, "All you things my eyes have kissed, fare you well, we meet no more. Lovely, lovely tattered mist. Weary wings that rise and fall all day long above the fire. Red with heat was every wall, rough with heat was every wire. Fare you well, you little winds that the flying embers chase. Fare you well, you shuddering day, with your hands before your face. And blackened by strange blight, or to a false sun unfurled, now for evermore goodbye, all the gardens in the world. On the windless hills of heaven that I have no wish to see, white eternal lilies stand by a lake of ebony. But the earth forevermore is a place where nothing grows. Dawn will come, and no bud break, evening, and no blossom close. Spring will come and wander slow over an indifferent land, stand beside an empty creek, hold a dead seed in her hand. God had called us, and we came, but the blessed road I trod was a bitter road to me, and at heart I questioned God. Though in heaven, I said, be all that the heart would most desire, held earth naught save souls of sinners worth the saving from a fire? Withered grass, the wasted growing, aimless ache of laden boughs. Little things God had forgotten called me from my burning house. Though in heaven, I said, be all that the eye could ask to see, all the things I ever knew are this blaze in back of me. Though in heaven, I said, be all that the ear could think to lack, all the things I ever knew are this roaring at my back. It was God who walked ahead, like a shepherd to the fold. In his footsteps fared the weak and the weary and the old, glad enough of gladness over, ready for the peace to be. But a thing God had forgotten was the growing bones of me. And I drew a bit apart, and I lagged a bit behind, and I thought on peace eternal, lest he look into my mind. And I gazed upon the sky, and I thought of heavenly rest, and I slipped away like water through the fingers of the blessed. All their eyes were fixed on glory, not a glance brushed over me. Alleluia, alleluia, up the road, and I was free, and my heart rose like a freshet, and it swept me on before, giddy as a whirling stick, till I felt the earth once more. All the earth was charred and black, had swept from pole to pole, and the bottom of the sea was as brittle as a bowl. And the timbered mountain top was as naked as a skull, nothing left of the earth so beautiful. Earth, I said, how can I leave you? You are all I have, I said. What is left to take my mind up, living always, and you dead? Speak, I said. Oh, tell me something. Make a sign that I can see, for a keepsake, to keep always, quick, before God misses me. And I listened for a voice, but my heart was all I heard. Not a screech owl, not a loon, not a tree toad said a word. And I waited for a sign, coals and cinders, nothing more, and a little cloud of smoke floating on a valley floor. And I peered into the smoke till it rotted like a fog. There, encompassed round by fire, stood a blue flag in a bog. Little flames came wading out, straining, draining towards its stem, but it was so blue and tall that it scorned to think of them. Red and thirsty were their tongues, as the tongues of wolves must be, but it was so blue and tall. Oh, I laughed, I cried to see. All my heart became a tear, all my soul became a tower. Never loved I anything as I loved that tall blue flower. It was all the little boats that had ever sailed the sea. It was all the little books that had gone to school with me. On its roots like iron claws rearing up so blue and tall, it was all the gallant earth with its back against a wall. In a breath ere I had breathed, oh, I laughed, I cried to see. I was kneeling at its side, and it leaned its head on me. Crumbling stones and sliding sand is the road to heaven now. Icy at my straining knees drags the awful undertow. Soon but stepping stones of dust will the road to heaven be. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, reach a hand and rescue me. There, my blue flag flower. Hush, hush, go to sleep. That is only God you hear, counting up his folded sheep. Lullaby, lullaby, that is only God that calls, missing me, seeking me, ere the road to nothing falls. He will set his mighty feet firmly on the sliding sand. Like a little frightened bird I will creep into his hand. I will tell him all my grief, I will tell him all my sin. He will give me half his robe for a cloak to wrap you in. Lullaby, lullaby, rocks the burnt-out planet free. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, reach a hand and rescue me. Ah, the voice of love at last, lo, at last the face of light, and the whole of his white robe for a cloak against the night. And upon my heart asleep all the things I ever knew. Holds heaven not some cranny, Lord, for a flower so tall and blue? All's well, and all's well, gay the lights of heaven show. In some moist and heavenly place we will set it out to grow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Coming of Night in the City by Skipwith Canal. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. The sun is near set, and the tall buildings become teeth, tearing bloodily at the sky's throat. The blank wall by my window becomes night sky over the marshes when there is no moon and no wind, and little fishes splash in the pools. I had lit my candle to make a song for you, but I have forgotten it, for I am very tired, and the candle, a yellow moth, flutters deep in my brain. My song was about a foreign lady who was beautiful and sad, who was forsaken and who died 1,000 years ago. But the cracked cup at my elbow, with dregs of tea in it, fixes my tired thought more surely than the song I made for you and forgot, that I might give you this. I am tired. I am so tired that my soul is a great plain made desolate, and the beating of 1,000,000 hearts is but the whisper of night winds blowing across it. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Compensation by Celia Thaxter. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr. In that new world towards which our feet are set, shall we find aught to make our hearts forget earth's homely joys and her bright hours of bliss? Has heaven a spell divine enough for this? For who the pleasure of the spring shall tell, when on the leafless stalk the brown buds swell, when the grass brightens and the days grow long, and the little birds break out in rippling song? Oh, sweet the dropping eve, the blush of morn, the starlit sky, the rustling fields of corn, the soft airs blowing from the freshening seas, the sun-flecked shadow of the stately trees, the mellow thunder and the lulling rain, the warm, delicious, happy summer rain, when the grass brightens and the days grow long, and the little birds break out in rippling song. O beauty manifold, from morn till night, dawn's flush, noon's blaze, and sunset's tender light. O fair familiar features, changes sweet of her revolving seasons, storm and sleet and golden calm, as slow she wheels through space, from snow to roses. And how dear her face when the grass brightens, when the days grow long, and little birds break out in rippling song. O happy earth, O home so well beloved, what recompense have we from thee removed? One hope we have that overlaps the whole, the hope of finding every vanished soul we love and long for daily, and for this gladly we turn from thee and all thy bliss, even at thy loveliest, when the days are long, and the little birds break out in rippling song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Deadbeat by Wilfred Owen. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothmann. He dropped, more sullenly than wearily, lay stupid like a cod, heavy like meat, and none of us could kick him to his feet. Just blinked at my revolver, blearily. Didn't appear to know a war was on, or see the blasted trench at which he stared. "I'll do 'em in," he whined. "If this hand's spared, I'll murder 'em, I will." A low voice said, "It's Blighty, perhaps, he sees. His pluck's all gone, dreaming of all the valiant that ain't dead. Bold uncles, smiling minstrelly, Maybe his brave young wife getting her fun in some new home, improved materially. It's not these stiffs that have crazed him, nor the Hun. We set him down at last out of the way. Unwounded, stout lad, too, before that strafe. Malingering? Stretcher-bearers winked. Not half. Next day I heard the doc's well-whiskied laugh. That scum you sent last night soon died. Hooray! End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Easter Morn by Elizabeth H. Connor. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. From the garden fair of heaven, like dewdrops from the skies, falls the perfume of a flower that is now in paradise. May the essence of its virtues steal softly o'er the dawn, dispelling all the shadows gray as on that Easter morn. As captives here we may languish, all peace will soar away, till refreshing dews from heaven guide us on day by day. God's love and light will sustain us, like the lily so fair. We will drink of his sweet fragrance and banish every care. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Erl-King, from Goethe, a translation by Erich Stenbach, read for LibriVox.org by MoonLylith. Who rides so late through the wind so wild? It is the father holding his child. He holds the fair boy with sheltering arm. He holds him closely. He holds him warm. My child! Ah, tell me what frighteth thee? Alas, my father, and dost thou not see the Erl-King, crowned and clothed in white? Nay, child, 'tis the mist in the white moonlight. Sweet child, and wilt thou not come with me? I have beautiful gifts I would give to thee. Fair are the flowers that bloom on the wold, where my mother weaves garments of woven gold. My father, and didst thou not hear what the Erl-King softly said in mine ear? Tremble not, be not afraid, my child. Shall the willows not weep when the wind is so wild? Sweet boy, and wilt thou not come with me? My beautiful daughters shall play with thee. They shall sing to thee songs, their voices are sweet. They shall dance with thee dances, their feet are fleet. Nay, but my father, I saw the pale face of the Erl-King's daughter in a dark, strange place. Nay, fear not, my child, for I only see the mute moon that shines through the willow tree. I love thee. I long for thy lithe, living form, thy flower-like face, thy blood that is warm. Alas, my father, for verily the Erl-King has done some strange thing to me. The father shuddered, and yet more fast he spurred on his steed toward the wavering blast. Onward and onward, nor turned his head, for he feared, nay, he knew, that the child was dead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Father O'Flynn by Anonymous. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Of priests we can offer a charming variety, far renowned for learning in piety. Still I advance you without propriety. Father O'Flynn is the flower of them all. Here's a health to you, Father O'Flynn. Slaint and slaint and slaint again. Powerfulest preacher in Tinder is teacher, and kindliest creature in old Donegal. Don't talk of your provost and fellows of Trinity, famous forever at Greek and Latinity, Dad and the divils at all divinity, Father O'Flynn make hares of them all. Come, I venture to give you my word, never the likes of his logic was heard, down from mythology into theology, troth and conchology, if he'd the call. Here's a health to you, Father O'Flynn, slaint and slaint and slaint again, powerfulest preacher in tenderest teacher, and kindliest creature in old Donegal. Och, Father O'Flynn, you've a wonderful way with you, all old sinners are wishful to pray with you, all the young children are wild for to play with you, you've such a way with you, Father O'Vit. Still, for all you're so gentle a soul, gad you've your flock in the grandest control, checking the crazy ones, coaxing on lazy ones, lifting the lazy ones on with the stick. Here's a health to you, Father O'Flynn, slaint and slaint and slaint again, powerfulest preacher in tenderest teacher, and kindliest creature in old Donegal. And though quite avoiding all foolish frivolity, still at all seasons of innocent jollity, where was the playboy could claim an equality at comicality, Father, with you? Once the bishop looked grave at your jest, till this remark set him off with the rest. Is it lave gaiety all to the laity? Cannot the clergy be Irishmen too? Here's a health to you, Father O'Flynn, slaint and slaint and slaint again, powerfulest preacher in tenderest teacher, and kindliest creature in old Donegal. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Garden of Love by William Blake. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. The Garden of Love. I went to the Garden of Love and saw what I had never seen. A chapel was built in the midst, where I used to play on the green. And the gates of this chapel were shut, and thou shalt not writ o'er the door. So I turned to the Garden of Love that so many sweet flowers bore. And I saw it was filled with graves, and tombstones where flowers should be, and priests in black gowns were walking their rounds, and binding with briars my joys and desires. End of recording. This recording is in the public domain.
Holy Cross by Michael Field. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Mysterious way of mortal blood that urges me upon thy wood. O Holy Cross, but I must tell my love how all my forces dwell upon thee and around thee day and night. I love the feet upon thy beam as a wild lover loves his dream. My eyes can only fix upon that sight. O tree, my arms are strong and sore to clasp thee, as when we adore the body of our dearest in our arms. Each pang I suffer hath for aim thy wood. Its comfort is the same, a taint and odor from inveterate balms. My clasp is filled, my sight receives the compass of its power. Pain grieves about each sense, but as a languid hum. And out of weariness at length, my day rejoices in its strength, my night that innocence of strife is come. End of poem. And this recording is in the public domain.
I Loved Thee Once by Louisa Ann Meredith. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. I loved thee once, I loved thee long, and now I never hear thy name breathed even by a stranger tongue, but my pale cheek is turned to flame. I do not weep, but o'er my brow the scathing hand of memory burns. I do not murmur, for e'en now my spirit's love to thee returns. And thou art proud and gay, proud that the heart thou gainst is breaking, and soon from earth must fall away. False hopes and falser love forsaking. Smile on, and bask in beauty's light, and bid thine own to thee confide a heart as pure, a faith as bright, as hers who lone and early died. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Isles of Greece, from Don Juan by George Gordon Lord Byron. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. The Isles of Greece, the Isles of Greece, where burning Sappho loved and sung, where grew the arts of war and peace, where Delos rose and Phoebus sprung. Eternal summer gilds them yet, but all except their sun is set. The Scion and Achaean muse, the hero's harp, the lover's lute, have found the fame your shores refuse. Their place of birth alone is mute to sounds which echo further west than your sires, islands of the blest. The mountains look on Marathon, and Marathon looks on the sea. And musing there an hour alone, I dream that Greece might still be free. For standing on the Persian's grave, I could not deem myself a slave. A king sate on the rocky brow, which looks o'er sea-born Salamis, and ships by thousands lay below, and men in nations, all were his. He counted them at break of day, and when the sun set, where were they? And where are they? And where art thou, my country? On thy voiceless shore the heroic lay is tuneless now. The heroic bosom beats no more. And must thy lyre, so long divine, degenerate into hands like mine? 'Tis something in the dearth of fame, though linked among a fettered race, to feel at least a patriot's shame, even as I sing, suffuse my face. For what is left the poet here? For Greeks a blush, for Greece a tear. Must we but weep o'er days more blest? Must we but blush? Our fathers bled. Earth, render back from out thy breast a remnant of our Spartan dead. Of the 300 grant but 3 to make a new Thermopylae. But silent still, and silent all? Ah, no, the voices of the dead sound like a distant torrent's fall, and answer, let one living head, but one arise, we come, we come. 'Tis but the living who are dumb. In vain strike other chords, fill high the cup with Samian wine, leave battles to the Turkish hordes, and shed the blood of Scio's vine. Hark, rising to the ignoble call, how answers each bold bacchanal? You have the Pyrrhic dance as yet, where is the Pyrrhic phalanx gone? Of two such lessons why forget the nobler and the manlier one? You have the letters Cadmus gave, think ye he meant them for a slave? Fill high the bowl with Samian wine, we will not think of themes like these. it made Anacreon's song divine. He served, but served Polycrates, a tyrant, but our masters then were still at least our countrymen. The tyrant of the Chersonese was freedom's best and bravest friend. That tyrant was Miltiades. Oh, that the present hour would lend another despot of the kind, such chains as his were sure to bind. Fill high the bowl with Samian wine, on Sully's rock and Pargai's shore exists the remnant of a line such as the Doric mothers bore, and there perhaps some seed is sown the Heraclidan blood might own. Trust not for freedom to the Franks, they have a king who buys and sells. In native swords and native ranks the only hope of courage dwells. But Turkish force and Latin fraud would break your shield, however broad. Fill high the bowl with Samian wine, our virgins dance beneath the shade. I see their glorious black eyes shine, but gazing on each glowing maid, my own the burning teardrop laves, to think such breasts must suckle slaves. Place me on Sunium's marbled steep, where nothing save the waves and I may hear our mutual murmurs sweep. There, swan-like, let me sing and die. A land of slaves shall ne'er be mine. Dash down your cup of Samian wine. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Matt Jenkins. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Life and Nature by Archibald Lampman. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. I passed through the gates of the city. The streets were strange and still. Through the doors of the open churches, the organs were moaning shrill. Through the doors and the great high windows, I heard the murmur of prayer, and the sound of their solemn singing streamed out on the sunlit air, a sound of some great burden that lay on the world's dark breast, of the old and the sick and the lonely, and the weary that cried for rest. I strayed through the midst of the city, like one distracted or mad. O life, I kept saying, and the very words seemed sad. I passed through the gates of the city, and I heard the small birds sing, I laid me down in the meadows, afar from the bell ringing. In the depth and the bloom of the meadows, I lay on the earth's quiet breast. The poplar fanned me with shadows, and the veery sang me to rest. Blue, blue was the heaven above me, and the earth green at my feet. O life, I kept saying, and the very word seemed sweet.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Like a White Stone by Anna Akhmatova. Translated from the Russian by Babette Deutsch and Avram Yarmolinsky. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Like a white stone deep in a draw well lying, as hard and clear a memory lies in me. I cannot strive, nor have I heart for striving. It is such pain, and yet such ecstasy. It seems to me that someone looking closely into my eyes would see it, patient, pale, and seeing would grow sadder and more thoughtful than one who listens to a bitter tale. The ancient gods changed men to things, but left them a consciousness that smoldered endlessly, that splendid sorrows might endure forever. And you are changed into a memory. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Lilly by William Blake. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. The Lily. The modest rose puts forth a thorn, the humble sheep a threatening horn, while the lily white shall in love delight, nor a thorn nor a threat stain her beauty bright. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
Love Deposed by Thomas Stanley. Read for LibriVox.org by Public Domain Scholar. Love Deposed. You that unto your mistress eyes your hearts do sacrifice, and offer sighs or tears at love's rich shrine, renounce with me the idolatry, nor this infernal power esteem divine. The brand, the quiver, and the bow, which we did first bestow, and he as tribute wears from every lover, I back again from him have ta'en, and the impostor now unveiled discover. I can the feeble child disarm, untie his mystic charm, divest him of his wings, and break his arrow. We will obey no more his sway, nor live confined to laws or bounds so narrow. And you bright beauties that inspire the boy's pale torch with fire, we safely now your subtle powers despise, and unscorched may, like Adam's play, and wanton in the sunshine of your eyes. Nor think hereafter by new arts you can bewitch our hearts, or raise this devil by your pleasing charm. We will no more his power implore, unless like Indians, that he do no harm. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
My Last Duchess by Robert Browning. Read for LibriVox.org by Algy. Ferrara. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder, now. Fra Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Would please you sit and look at her? I said Fra Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. But to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask thus. Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the Duchess' cheek. Perhaps Fra Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-blush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked whate'er she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, 'twas all one. My favour at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the bough of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule she rode with round the terrace, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush, at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900-years-old name with anybody's gift. Who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling? Even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say, just this or that in you disgusts me. Here you miss, or there exceed the mark. And if she let herself be lessoned so, nor plainly set her wit to yours, forsooth, and made excuse, e'en that would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whene'er I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile? This grew. I gave commands. Then all smiles stopped together. There she stands, as if alive. Would please you rise? We'll meet the company below, then. I repeat, the Count, your master's known munificence, is ample warrant that no just pretence of mine for dowry will be disallowed, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. Nay, we'll go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though, taming a sea-horse, thought a rarity, which Claus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Nymph's Reply to the Shepherd by Sir Walter Raleigh. Read for LibriVox.org by Matt Jenkins. If all the world and love were young, and truth in every shepherd's tongue, these pretty pleasures might me move to live with thee and be thy love. Time drives the flocks from field to fold, when rivers rage and rocks grow cold, and Philomel becometh dumb, the rest complains of cares to come. The flowers do fade, and wanton fields to wayward winter reckoning yields. A honey tongue, a heart of gall, is fancy's spring, but sorrow's fall. Thy gowns, thy shoes, thy bed of roses, thy cap, thy kirtle, and thy poses, soon break, soon wither, soon forgotten, in folly ripe, in reason rotten. Thy belt of straw, and ivy buds, the coral clasps and amber studs, all these in me no means can move, to come to thee and be thy love. But could youth last, and love still breed, had joys no date, nor age no need, then these delights my mind might move, to live with thee and be thy love. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Old Story by George Russell Jackson. Read for LibriVox.org by Elsie Selwyn. They stood together at the door, the young and loving pair. He'd said good night 3 times or more, but still he lingered there. The moon looked down, the zephyr's light among her tresses played. She wondered, when he'd said good night, so often, why he stayed. He gazed around, no one was near, then said in accents low, I wish that you would give me, dear, one kiss before I go. She blushed and murmured midst her sighs, the cunning little elf, I can't, but I will shut my eyes, and you take one yourself. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
One Girl by Sappho. Translated by Dante Gabriele Rossetti. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. 1. Like the sweet apple which reddens upon the topmost bough, atop on the topmost twig, which the pluckers forgot somehow. Forgot it not, nay, but got it not, for none could get it till now. 2. Like the wild hyacinth flower which on the hills is found, which the passing feet of the shepherds forever tear and wound, until the purple blossom is trodden into the ground. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On a Picture of Tyre by Louisa Ann Meredith. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Painted by Mr. T. Creswick. And such thou wert, proud city of the East, when, midst the mightiest of the earth, thy name was blazoned in the dazzling scroll of fame, and men gazed on thee, as thy pomp increased, deeming thy grandeur must be aye the same. I see thee now, as they beheld thee, in thy pride of place, with thy high, frowning, and majestic fanes of idol worship, with thy fertile, sunlit plains and glorious ocean, like an eastern bride, gemmed with the wealth that proudly she sustains. But where are now thine empire, wealth, and power? Thy vaunted grandeur and eternized fame? Oblivion claims them, like the transient flower that dies and whispers, beauty's but a name. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On the Street by Frances S. Smith. Read for LibriVox.org by Elsie Selwyn. Morning in the city, on the street, what a mixed humanity we meet. Shop girls in a flurry, laborers in a hurry, seek their toil. Vagrant tramps and fighters, roistering all-nighters, and stranger city-siders. What a coil. Noonday in the city, on the street, what a mixed humanity we meet. Tired-out breadwinners, eating frugal dinners with a zest. Boot-blacks loudly calling, "Shine!" and newsboys bawling, the strongest lungs forestalling all the rest. Evening in the city, on the street, what a mixed humanity we meet. Ladies promenading, skirmishing and raiding on the bows. Adventurers with more leisure than intellect or treasure, gay votaries of pleasure in fine clothes. Midnight in the city, on the street, what a mixed humanity we meet. Waifs who have no lodging, asking alms and dodging the police. Wretched girls, sin-blighted, deceived, cast off and slighted, whose soul flames once ignited never cease. Forever in the city, on the street, what a mixed humanity we meet. Joy and grief and sinning, never ending, still beginning, o'er and o'er. Oh, is there not a dwelling where peace beyond our telling from a bright font is welling for evermore? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Pessimist by P.G. Wodehouse. Read for LibriVox.org by Matt Jenkins. They tell me that the weather's fair, the day serene and balmy, No more for rain need I prepare, no chilly blast shall harm me. They prate of warmth, of gentle glows, they rave of how sublime it is. I shake my head, as one who knows just what the British climate is. They say the trees are growing green, that flowers are in bloom, that bees and butterflies are seen, they bid me quit my room. My hat and boots to me they bear, they tell me what crime it is to stay indoors, but I'm aware just what the British climate is. The tale they tell is just the same they told in days of yore. I know the weather's deadly game, I've seen it played before. I call it deadly, well, to those by nature such as I'm, it is. One suffers much before one knows just what the British climate is. This is my fixed resolve, to keep thick clothing always handy, add extra blankets when I sleep, and not run short of brandy. I wager we'll be having snow before midsummer time it is. I'll take no risks. I chance to know just what the British climate is. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Porphyria's Lover by Robert Browning. Read for LibriVox.org by Algy. The rain set in early tonight. The sullen wind was soon awake. It tore the elm tops down for spite, and did its worst to vex the lake. I listened with heart fit to break, when glided in Porphyria. Straight she shut the cold out and the storm, and kneeled and made the cheerless grate blaze up, and all the cottage warm. Which done, she rose, and from her form withdrew the dripping cloak and shawl, and laid her soiled gloves by, untied her hat, and let the damp hair fall. And last, she sat down by my side, and called me. When no voice replied, she put my arm about her waist, and made her smooth white shoulder bare, and all her yellow hair displaced, and stooping, made my cheek lie there, and spread o'er all her yellow hair, murmuring how she loved me. She, too weak for all her heart's endeavour, to set its struggling passion free from pride, and vainer ties dissever, and give herself to me for ever. But passion sometimes would prevail, nor could to-night's gay feast restrain a sudden thought of one so pale for love of her, and all in vain. So she was come through wind and rain. Be sure I looked up at her eyes, happy and proud. At last I knew Porphyria worshipped me. Surprise made my heart swell, and still it grew, while I debated what to do. That moment she was mine, mine, fair, perfectly pure and good. I found a thing to do, and all her hair in one long yellow string I wound 3 times her little throat around, and strangled her. No pain felt she. I am quite sure she felt no pain. As a shut bud holds a bee, I warily oped her lids. Again laughed the blue eyes, without a stain, and I untightened next the tress about her neck. Her cheek once more blushed bright beneath my burning kiss. I propped her head up as before, only this time my shoulder bore her head, which droops upon it still, the smiling, rosy little head, so glad it has its utmost will, that all it scorned at once is fled, and I, its love, am gained instead. Porphyria's love! She guessed not how her darling one wish would be heard. And thus we sit together now, and all night long we have not stirred. and yet God has not said a word. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Rainy Day in April by Frances Ledwidge. Read for LibriVox.org by Elsie Selwyn. When the clouds shake their hyssops in the rain, like holy water falls upon the plain, 'tis sweet to gaze upon the springing grain, and see your harvest born. And sweet the little breeze of melody the blackbird puffs upon the budding tree, while the wild poppy lights upon the lea, and blazes mid the corn. The skylark soars the freshening shower to hail, and the meek daisy holds aloft her pail, and spring all radiant by the wayside pale sets up her rock and reel. See how she weaves her mantle fold on fold, hemming the woods and carpeting the wold. Her warp is of the green, her woof the gold, the spinning world her wheel. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Return of the Year by Archibald Lampman. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Again the warm bare earth, the noon that hangs upon her healing scars, the midnight round, the great red moon, the mother with her brood of stars, the mist-rack and the wakening rain, blown soft in many a forest way, the yellowing elm trees, and again the bloodroot in its sheath of grey, the vesper sparrow's song, the stress of yearning notes that gush and stream, the lyric joy, the tenderness, and once again the dream, the dream. A touch of far-off joy and power, a something it is life to learn, comes back to earth, and one short hour, the glamours of the gods return. This life's old mood and cult of care falls smitten by an older truth, and the grey world wins back to her the rapture of her vanished youth. Dead thoughts revive, and he that heeds shall hear, as by a spirit led, a song among the golden reeds. The gods are vanished, but not dead. For one short hour, unseen yet near, they haunt us, a forgotten mood, a glory upon mead and mere, a magic in the leafless wood. At morning we shall catch the glow of Dian's quiver on the hill, and somewhere in the glades I know that Pan is at his piping still.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sally in Our Alley by Henry Carey. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Sally in Our Alley. Of all the girls that are so smart, there's none like pretty Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. There is no lady in the land is half so sweet as Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. Her father, he makes cabbage nets, and through the streets does cry 'em. Her mother, she sells laces long, to such as please to buy 'em. But sure such folks could ne'er beget so sweet a girl as Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in my alley. When she is by, I leave my work, I love her so sincerely. My master comes like any Turk, and bangs me most severely. But let him bang his bellyful, I'll bear it all for Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. Of all the days that's in the week, I dearly love but one day, and that's the day that comes betwixt a Saturday and Monday. For then I'm dressed all in my best to walk abroad with Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. My master carries me to church, and often am I blamed because I leave him in the lurch as soon as text is named. I leave the church in sermon time and slink away to Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. My master and the neighbours all make game of me and Sally, and but for her I'd better be a slave and row a galley. But when my 7 long years are out, oh then I'll marry Sally. Oh then we'll wed, and then we'll bed, but not in our alley. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sincere Flattery by James Kenneth Stephen. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr of W.W. Americanus. The clear, cool note of the cuckoo, which has ousted the legitimate nest holder. The whistle of the railway guard, dispatching the train to the inevitable collision. The maiden's monosyllabic reply to a polysyllabic proposal. The fundamental note of the last trump, which is presumably denatural. All of these are sounds to rejoice in, yea, to let your very ribs re-echo with. But better than all of them is the absolutely last chord of the apparently inexhaustible pianoforte player. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Some Balloons Grow on Trees by Vachel Lindsay. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. For Betsy Richards. Some balloons grow on trees, on rubber trees indeed. You plant old rubber boots for seed. Some balloons grow on trees. If you want them red, you pour red ink into the boots, there in the balloon bed. And blue ink if you want them blue, but if you desire them green, just let it pass. They will turn green to match the grass. Some balloons grow on trees, and if you do not spray them soon with water pots of hellebore, you will not have one ripe balloon. Mosquitoes will bite them in the night, explode them like a thunderstorm, and give the town a fright. Some balloons grow on trees. If they grow too fast, and are not gathered every day, the infants stand aghast to see them tear up by the roots the trees on which they grew, and scatter dirt on the front walk and disappear from view into the blue. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Spanish Song by Louisa Ann Meredith. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Suggested by a description in The Alhambra by Washington Irving, Esquire. Softly glimmers the evening star, the sun has brightly set. Then come and dance to the wild guitar and the lively castanet. The nightingale warbles forth his love on the rose's fragrant breast. Fireflies glance through the myrtle grove, and the busy world's at rest. Then haste 'neath the moonlight to dance with me, and the castanet strike right merrily. Oh, haste, my love, where the citrons dip in the rippling stream below, where roses envy thy ruby lip, and blush with as deep a glow. We'll shun the cypress, whose shadow flings a gloom o'er all around, and high where the streamlet's murmurings whisper their silvery sound. Then haste 'neath the moonlight to dance with me, and the castanet strike right merrily. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Spring
is Here by Elizabeth H. Connor. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. Oh, spring is here, awake, awake. Flowers are blooming in the vales, in forests deep by brook and lake, where soft-voiced winds blow gentle gales. Their lucid waters as they flow and ripple in the ebbing tide, in the bright sunshine come and go, sighing, then merging far and wide. O spring, sweet spring, youth of the year, love opens her casement to peep at the lilac bloom nestling near the garden gate where trysts they keep. Sweet-voiced songsters warble and coo, building their nests in trees o'erhead, for the first breath of summer's dew and the lilac bloom soon will wed. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Talisman by Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Where fierce the surge with awful bellow doth ever lash the rocky wall, and where the moon most brightly mellow doth beam when mists of evening fall, where midst his harem's countless blisses the Moslem spends his vital span, a sorceress there with gentle kisses presented me a talisman, and said, until thy latest minute, preserve, preserve my talisman. A secret power it holds within it, 'twas love, true love, the gift did plan. From pest on land or death on ocean, when hurricanes its surface fan, O object of my fond devotion, thou scapest not by my talisman. The gem in eastern mine which slumbers, or ruddy gold 'twill not bestow, 'twill not subdue the turbaned numbers before the prophet's shrine which bow, nor high through air on friendly pinions can bear thee swift to home and clan, from mournful climes and strange dominions, from south to north, my talisman. But oh, when crafty eyes thy reason with sorceries sudden seek to move, and when in night's mysterious season lips cling to thine but not in love, from proving then dear youth a booty to those who falsely would trepan, from new heart wounds and lapse from duty, protect thee shall my talisman. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Ties That Bind by Elizabeth H. Connor. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. How dear the ties that bind us to the past! Fond thoughts of them around our hearts doth twine. We seem to feel the essence of their love, like fragrance of the rose in summer time. Though passed from earth, their influence remain, their earnestness, their work, their loving care. The rift within the clouds cast forth sunshine, sweet rays of hope, the beautiful somewhere. Somewhere beyond in that haven of rest, where bright light divine shines forth from its dome, where heavenly choirs are chanting his praise, we place forget-me-nots around their home. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Triolet by Robert Bridges. Read for LibriVox.org by Sherr. All women born are so perverse, no man need boast their love possessing. If naught seem better, nothing's worse. All women born are so perverse. From Adam's wife that proved a curse, though God had made her for a blessing. All women born are so perverse, no man need boast their love possessing. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Tiger by William Blake. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. The Tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain, in what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp, dare at deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears, and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who make the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? End of recording. This recording is in the public domain.
The Valey of Unrest by Edgar Allan Poe. Read for LibriVox.org by Will Houghton. Once it smiled, a silent dell, where the people did not dwell. They had gone unto the wars, trusting to the mild-eyed stars, nightly from their azure towers, to keep watch above the flowers, in the midst of which all day the red sunlight lazily lay. Now each visitor shall confess the sad valley's restlessness. Nothing there is motionless, nothing save the airs that brood over the magic solitude. Ah, by no wind are stirred those trees that palpitate like the chill seas around the misty Hebrides. Ah, by no wind those clouds are driven that rustle through the unquiet heaven, uneasily from morn till even, over the violets there that lie in myriad types of the human eye, over the lilies there that wave and weep above a nameless grave. They wave. From out their fragrant tops eternal dews come down in drops. They weep. From off their delicate stems perennial tears descend in gems. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.